and hello to those new people joining the session today. It's scheduled for 45 minutes. To be honest, I'm not sure it's going to go that long. We have got a Q&A button in the window, so a bit of housekeeping. Unfortunately, the technical resource that I did have joining has had to pull out last minute. So I suppose feel free to ask questions using the Q&A. I'll leave a bit of time at the end of the session as well to hopefully answer any, I suppose, rather high level and non-technical questions that you may have. So moving on to the presentation and demonstration today, as I said, many of you are familiar with Code Software, but for those who aren't familiar, we are an ISV, an independent software vendor. We've been around since 2013, basically providing reporting, management, voice calling solutions for UC platforms. We aligned very quickly since our inception in 2013 with Microsoft and really followed Microsoft on that journey. We've currently now got a customer base in the region of 1,000 customers, and we operate predominantly through a global network of partners, and of course got a very good relationship now with Microsoft themselves. We've got offices here in the UK, which is where I'm based, in the US, Romania, and New Zealand. So moving on to Clobba License Manager, why have we gone down this route, I suppose? And I would say fundamentally, it's been off the back of requests of our current customers who are maybe slightly frustrated with the process, I suppose, of Microsoft licensing, fundamentally the M365 licenses, but also really a general market requirement for a more efficient way of managing your licenses. Really, I would say the two business drivers that we've established through conversations with our customers who've very kindly assisted us in developing this solution. Cost savings, cost management, I would say, is probably the biggest driver or the biggest frustration, I suppose, with the customers. So you'll see as we go through the truing up of licenses and that kind of management visibility is really essential, and where cost savings will genuinely be made. One thing that we have found, I don't know if it is surprisingly, but one of the big drivers aside of the actual cost saving is actually user adoption. So an organization will, of course, invest in Teams and Microsoft 365 licenses with a view to achieving those associated business benefits. Now, if the users are underutilizing the licenses, it might not just be a case of, right, let's change or alter or cancel the license. It may be a case of that visibility is really going to drive education and training to the end users, so you are maximizing the opportunity with the allocated licenses. So there's really two areas to the solution, that cost saving element, and hand in hand is the user adoption and driving that. What we're going to see today is Clobba License Manager. We've just finished a beta testing, so thank you very much to the organisations that have assisted us with that. We're going general availability today. It is a new solution, and of course, with any software, it's continued development. It's version 1 effectively. There will be ongoing development, of course, and as you can see there, it's just the start for License Manager for us. With regards to the deployment, initially it will be a standalone application, but certainly the integration with the Clobba suite of software, which many of you will be familiar with, is pending and will be along very shortly. So again, really talking and understanding our customer requirements, we've really identified 4 key areas of frustration or issues with licenses. So in no particular order, the first one we put there is the inactive user with license. This is where a license is allocated to a user, but no login has occurred, and you can define the time frame, the period which that not login has actually occurred. The second area that we look at, or we've identified, is the underutilized licenses. So maybe a user's got an E5 license and they're not really using all of the services in there. So it might be an opportunity to, I suppose, downgrade the license to a more cost-effective and relevant license. The third area is duplicate licenses, and this has occurred quite often where a user within an organization has multiple licenses and they've got overlapping services. So again, an informed decision can be made on whether or not to actually unassign or disable that license. And on the disabled with license, the fourth area there, that's where a user has been disabled in AD but still has a license. So really, the license manager is going to give visibility and actionable insights, if you like, that you as an organisation can actually make. If we're looking at the actual solution itself, some of the key features, delegated and role-based access is huge. So along with the Clobba suite of software, and again, if you're using that, you'll be aware of that role-based access, and that's also applicable here. So the use of the license manager can be used by a user, an employee that does not have that administrator role. So there's multiple levels of accessibility that can be defined, and that role-based access will allow the specified features that can be accessed by each of the users. So that really is a key area, and certainly, of course, if you're comparing the license manager to what's natively available in the Teams admin portal, it really is a key area. The second area, the second key feature is really the ongoing monitoring of the consumption and cost of licenses. So via the dashboard, we can see, or you can see yourselves, analysis of both costs and consumption or count, license count, and it's all about the I suppose slicing and dicing of the data. It's down to you to define exactly what you can see and ensure that it's only relevant information that's very quickly accessible. I would say the key area really though is the license analysis. Now, you'll see as I go through the demo, the license analysis will produce ultimately actionable insights, and those actionable insights move to the next point where using the license manager you can provision and disable the licenses without having to switch back to the admin portal. It will give this holistic overall organization view. The last point that I've put there is the user tags. Now, this might sound like quite a minor feature, but again, it really is a key feature. So with regards to, I suppose, the cost management side of things, we've enabled the ability to tag users. Now, the feedback that we're getting, the real user case for that is the apportionment, the visibility of costs associated to cost centers. So it enables that kind of localized management and visibility of costs to the cost center, which again isn't a feature that is available natively with the admin portal. So going into the actual product itself now, if we look at the features, the first feature that we're going to look at is that dashboard. It does have a light and dark mode, so quite interesting this that we've kind of got a raging debate here at Code about light and dark mode. We did a poll, and quite surprisingly, 60% of the respondents actually said they preferred dark mode to light mode. It's a personal preference, bit of a sideline there, but both are available with our dashboard. So if I just play the demonstration here and run through, this is the dashboard. I'm actually going to switch it to dark mode and really run through some of the key concepts. So I'm going to create a new dashboard layout, start off with a blank canvas, and it's very simple to just drag the widgets over and create and start building out your dashboard with the relevant widgets. As you can see here, I'm pulling them over, dragging them into the actual screen there, and building out a brand new dashboard from scratch. Now, what we can do is further configuration. So we can resize, you can drag and drop, you can basically start creating this layout to meet your exact requirements. More importantly, you can then go in and start filtering, so we're getting relevant information. Here I'm going to change to license count. We can group it by departments, as you can see here. And if we go at the top there, it's very easy to configure the actual text, so it's defining exactly what you're going to see on the dashboard. The intervals, so this is looking at trends of license usage. It was on current month, but I'm actually going to change that and maybe just look at the last 2 weeks. It's very quick and easy to create the configuration in these individual widgets. They're dynamic, so you can select or deselect the elements. Again, just giving you that relevant information. And that filtering and grouping, of course, is relevant, available on all of these widgets that I've brought over. So again, this snapshot view, I'm going to actually look at the countries in this case. I want to keep it on cost. So I've defined it's going to group it by countries, change the text there, save it, and you can see it's updated that monitor. If we mouse over, we can also get the individual costs for in this case the individual countries. And then finally on the metric side here, maybe I want to look at the individual products, so I want to do some analysis or get the visibility here of business premium. Again, select out the product as being business premium, changing the text there and saving it. So really, hopefully what I'm showing here is how easy it is for me to design, build out and create a very relevant dashboard. Once I'm happy with that there is the ability to save it, which I'll come into. And there's also click through. So for example, here I'm clicking down on the Cirencester office, which is where I'm located. You can see a summary, a breakdown per department. In this case, it's looking at the costs. I can further click down and look into the sales department, as you can see here. So it's listing out all of the people in the sales department. I can get an overview of the license, and again, there's click through from here. So in this case, I'm getting the visibility of business premium licenses, and they can see I've selected myself out and drilled through and seen all of the details from myself there. There's further click through as well. So here the enabled users in the Cirencester office that you can see displayed here. Throughout the software, I can export any of these kind of more detailed reports, if you like, in either Excel or PDF format as well. Once I'm happy with that layout, I can save it. And you can either save that as being public or personal. So if it's a public layout, it means anyone with access to the license manager will be able to view that dashboard. And of course, you can share that pages well with colleagues so that they can see it. So they can see I've saved the dashboard layout. Typically, I'm going to have a handful of different layouts for my different requirements, and so I simply go in and load up the relevant dashboard, pre-saved dashboard. So that's dashboard. As I said, this is really giving that visibility, I suppose, the trends over a period of time. You can get the snapshot view, but it's just a very quick and simple way of slicing and dicing your own license data as well. Moving through some of the other features that are available, if we're looking at the actual users that you can see here, this is a full list of users with the AD attributes that you can see there. So in this case, a location, we've got a search. I've searched on myself there, and again, we can see an overview of my organization attributes, the licenses that are assigned to me. Again, I can select or deselect or effectively enable or disable licenses directly from there. The tags that I'd mentioned earlier as well, which are a key area. And then finally, I can see all the endpoints or endpoints that are associated with me. As I showed earlier, we can export all of this data in either Excel or PDF format, and it's possible to import the actual users from AD. That can either be a scheduled import, typically that's going to run overnight, I would say, or we can do an ad hoc or force import at any time. So that's the user page, giving that visibility of the individual users. We've also got the endpoints that you can see here. So for each of the assigned users, you can see the allocated identity, which is typically going to be the SIP address. Also, you will be able to see any DIDs that are allocated to individual users. Unfortunately, in the case of the demo system that we're seeing here, there's no DIDs actually displayed. So moving on now to the license page, this will literally list all of the licenses within your organization. You can see very quickly a view of the licenses. You can see if they're enabled. You can see if it applies to users or to the organization. You can see the consumed units as well as the associated costs. I've selected business premium here. So what we can see is, of course, a breakdown of the associated services at the bottom with business premium. We can allocate an alias to any of the selected licenses, and I suppose pretty importantly, we can also change that cost figure there. So if you've negotiated specific prices for specific licenses, you can do that there. There's also the ability here to import the licenses. Again, that can be scheduled to run automatically, or you can force that import as well. And as with the previously viewed, you can also see export all of this data to either Excel or PDF format. So moving on now to the, you can see I've flipped between light and dark mode, but here we're moving on to the analysis. So this is where you can actually define rules and effectively run reports off the back of those rules themselves. So we can add rules from the list. You can see here I've selected all of the rules and they're all enabled, and that these really reflect back to that initial slide, that one of the initial slides that I put up with those four key areas. So if I just run through some of those key areas, in active with license, you can see here the last login days is user definable. In this case, we put 30 days down as that particular rule criteria. If we're looking at underutilized licenses, you can see things like E5 to E3, so it will run that. We can look at even calling plans to make sure you're utilizing the correct amount of minutes. No PSTN usage. Again, we can define exactly the time frame or period that these rules are going to apply to. Duplicate licenses, again, that they're where multiple licenses are assigned to a single user, and disabled licenses, which as you can see are users which are disabled in AD, however, still have that license assigned. Again, we can export this list of rules in either Excel or PDF format. So as you can see there, all of the rules have been enabled in this particular case. So you could run all the rules, or you can just run specific rules. So moving on to the actual analysis itself, we haven't got that much data in the system, as you can see here. So really what you're saying here is that the concept, I suppose, and the analysis here is actually on the no PSTN usage, as you can see there in the rule column, and also E3 to S3. So you can see the action or the recommended action on the right there for each of the different rules that have been applied, whether it's removing licenses. And if we actually select out the user and run that, it will actually make those recommended actions. So they're, as I said, actionable insights. We can apply filters if there is a lot of data in there and you want to define it. And you can see in the last column there the associated cost saving by applying the rule or doing that relevant action. Again, we can export in either Excel, excuse me, or PDF file there. So really this analysis is really effectively the reporting, where you can see the recommended actions and take the appropriate actions, I suppose. So as I said, it's not going to be a full 45 minutes presentation or demonstration. That's effectively the solution. In summary, it is going to be spent to save. There is, dare I say, a certain amount of uncertainty in the global economy at the moment. So many organisations will be looking at cost management and cost savings, and that's certainly one of the key areas that the license manager will address. The user adoption, as I said, another key area. If you have invested in teams, really you want to make the most out of teams. So we'll potentially highlight these areas for training and further association to optimize your investment ultimately in teams. And because I suppose there's various areas that you can take out of today, but it will increase efficiencies. It's a single application that you can open up, have visibility, make changes, provision, disable, and really just make informed decisions as well. So the solution is available, as I said. Now it literally today it's gone to general availability. It is available on a 30-day trial. It's software as a service, price per Teams user. So feel free to reach out to either myself if you've got an account manager or your partner to potentially get a pricing or quotation sent over. The solution is typically delivered from our cloud, which is Azure based. There are other options. It does support multi-tenancy, so that there are partner solutions. And in the case of not extreme, but infosec requirements, we can look at alternative delivery options. And the registration itself, it is effectively self-registration. It's a very simple and intuitive installation process, and you can be up and running incredibly quickly. So that's a run through of the presentation effectively. I suppose we can move on to